get my 6. Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the PBS the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch show. And I know I usually end the show with that, but we're going to start the show with this today because I don't know where the end may be. Let's go into the forest. You might be wondering what Crazy Lake is doing, walking around, looking for the potential Bigfoot Sasquatch that may or may not live in the woods behind his house with a toaster. Well, once you understand, it will all make perfect sense. Just look at the title, brah. All right, so what I'm doing is I am fulfilling my great pirate heritage. Listen, all right, and I said I wasn't going to talk about this newly discovered family stuff in these videos anymore. I was getting right back to Bigfoot Sasquatching out here in the woods behind my home, but it's connected. It's totally connected, and it all makes so much more sense now. Okay, listen, one of my sisters, and it's been recommended I come up with code names for my sisters because one doesn't want to be talked about on YouTube, the others don't mind. So here's a code names, okay? My one sister, who doesn't want to be talked about on YouTube, is having a really hard time grasping the fact that we descend from pirates. But so much of my own past in the last 10 years makes so much more sense now that I've come to this understanding. What do you call it, okay, when you take a guy and you drop him off on a remote desert island 9,000 miles away from nowhere, and then a few short years later, he comes back carrying bags of money in one hand. He's got the most beautiful native maiden from that island draped on his other arm, and they're bringing a bouncing baby boy they made in their spare time when they weren't figuring out how to fill those bags with money. I mean, what do you call that? Pirate. I mean, everybody saw Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Captain Jack Sparrow. You remember he got dropped off on that island and he pulled all the hairs out of his back and he made ropes and he lassoed 2 giant sea turtles and made his way back to the mainland with the map of the treasure and how to find it. It's the same thing I did. So, duh, you can't do that if you don't have pirate blood running through your veins. Sister that doesn't want to be talked about on YouTube, get over it. Embrace it. All right, so speaking of these girls, these sisters, it's like another piece of the puzzle would have remained forever lost as far as this pirate ancestral heritage of ours go if I hadn't been there to hear 2 distinctly different stories from them that are totally and completely related, and it has to do with this toaster. Okay, just like any family of pirates, what was that? I think we're being followed. That one made me shaky a little bit. Let me try to stabilize the phone. I felt the temperature drop by 1/2 of 1/2 degree. Let's do a scan. Keep getting my 6. This is a perfect time. Look at that. Where field meets forest, sun's going down. We're at a high point. All places where the veil grows thin. It's a very loud tractor, but that's on our side of the veil. So far, unless it goes through. All right, so the sister that doesn't want to be talked about on YouTube told us a story about how somebody in our family, a couple generations back, several generations back, had this car. It was a convertible, and she would like to think that Stephen King based his story, Christine, on this car. Wow. Hold on, we got something here. Check it out. This was not here the last time I was out here. Look at this. Another bone. Another bone from where him, her, it, or they potentially dragged some sort of prey into the forest behind my home and devoured it for a meal. And by the way, check out this crazy eyebrow. Can you see it? I was going to pluck it before I came out to make the video, but this is the craziest eyebrow I've ever had, and I wanted to get it on video for prosperity's sake. I was reminded of it by this thing right here that was dangling around. I feared that this would interfere with my vision. There it is, see it? But it took a pine needle to even remind me of it. All right, so here's the deal. So this car that one of our ancient ancestors had, not too ancient, not going back too far either. It was a convertible, it was red, just looked like that car in Stephen King's Christine. So this one ancient family member, ancestor, not going too far back, got a knock on the door one night. Now, he had recently gotten this car because he saw it and he liked it. He didn't need it. He already had a vehicle, but he had a little bit of extra money. And he went out and bought it because he wanted it, right? Kind of like a cruising type car to go for joy rides in. That's what we call them in the Philippines. Here, I guess joy riding is when you actually steal a car. But that's what happened. Dude receives a knock on the door one night. There's a guy at the door that he knows, doesn't really like, but he knows him. And this guy's got a girl with him, girlfriend. They're young adults. And he's begging him for a place to stay. Says, we just need a place to stay for the night. We'll be gone early tomorrow. We won't, we'll be in and out. We won't bother you. So this ancient ancestor says, yeah, okay, sure, you can stay with me. But he felt apprehensive about it because he never really, it's not that he disliked the guy, he just always got bad vibes from him. Well, the ancient ancestor woke up the next day, and this guy and his girl he had with him are already gone. They're not in the house, and so he goes outside to look for him. He thinks maybe they're outside having coffee, but they're not outside. Not only are they gone, but his car's gone, this convertible. And never heard from either again for about a year. He gets a phone call. And somebody says, hey, is this your car? And he reads off the VIN number. He goes, yeah, this is my car. Now, mind you, this is like 1970. Not too long ago, a couple generations back. And he says, yeah, that's my car. He says, well, we've had it in impound down here for almost a year. If you want to come down and pay the impound fees, you can have it back. So this guy goes down, pays the impound fees. Turns out just in the middle of the night, the guy that came to stay with his girl, they snuck out of the house, rolled the car down the drive in neutral, started it, ran it until it was out of gas and left it on the highway and just kept going wherever they were going. I'm feeling something kind of creepy right here. Keep getting my six. So anyway, this guy gets his car back. He pays the impound fees, gets the car back, takes it, parks it in front of his house, and that day his landlord comes over for some reason and backs into it and bashes the whole side of it in. So he gets it back, gets the side bashed in, and thought, man, this car must be cursed. Well, it had to be a joke, right? But he really liked that car. This car, which is a mechanical item like this toaster. It all comes together in the end, just like all my crazy stories. Just hang in there. So he takes the car, gets it fixed, pays a lot of money to have it fixed, gets it home. That evening, decides to go out and ride around, Backing out of his driveway, he hits and kills a dog. Now, it wasn't a neighbor's dog. It wasn't a dog that somebody had this major attachment to. It was a stray. Back then, for those of you who were too young to remember, maybe you weren't there yet, we used to have a lot of stray dogs and cats in the U.S., just like a lot of other countries have. Come a long way just in my lifetime cleaning that stuff up because people have been responsible. They spayed and neuters their dogs and cats. Most counties have animal programs that'll come pick up strays and find them good homes through the SPCA and whatnot. This country's come leaps and bounds when it comes to the treatment of pets and strays. I heard somebody complaining about dogs and cats and how they're treated here. Shortly after I'd spent 10 years in the Middle East and Southeast Asia and seen things that I could certainly never mention on this channel and that I learned quickly not to repeat to Americans. But let me tell you, dogs and cats have it very good here in the U.S. But back to my ancient family curse that attaches itself to mechanical items. Okay, the guy figured out, I need to get rid of this car. This car's cursed. He did get rid of the car, but it wasn't the last he heard of the car. About 6 months later, that car was used as a getaway car in a bank robbery in a neighboring county. And the driver and the other person, the guy that went in the bank, I guess, got shot up by the authorities, and the car went out of the road after they were shot, hit a big oak tree, and they both were terminated. We'll say it that way. Dispatched, taken out, taken off the streets for good. So I thought, well, that's a pretty interesting story, sister, that doesn't want to be talked about on YouTube. That does sound like maybe something Stephen King could have based his idea Christine on. But then the other sister, one of the two, who doesn't mind being talked about on YouTube because she knows that the majority of people understand that YouTube is meant for entertainment purposes only, and that stories are often salted and peppered with a little bit of spice just to maybe make them sound a little, well, she gets it, all right? She said, that kind of reminds me of this range we had, like an oven. Somebody, now this is going down another generation, next generation down, somebody just happened to come across a really interesting deal on a gas range stovetop oven type thing through nefarious means. And after taking this thing home, at a under 50, about my age, seemingly perfect health, dropped dead. Just dropped dead. And it was a shock, and this is in no way, I'm not making light or making fun of this situation. I'm just telling you the situation as it is. So nobody made any connections between this tragic unforeseen death, premature death, and this mechanical item, in this case not a convertible or a toaster, but a range oven, until about 6 months later, this guy's brother acquired this range. They were going through, the stuff of the deceased, and he said, hey, we could use a new range. I think I'll take that. Took it to his house. Dropped dead, even younger than the other guy. In his 40s, not even close to 50. So, to my understanding, it's possible. You're like, well, whatever happened to that range? Well, it's possible that just potentially, that range found its way over a very steep ravine at the very top of a deep, dark Appalachian holler. Everybody else around the world would say hollow, but in Appalachia we say holler. Even there's no R. We just put one there. We say to hell with this OW, let's add an ER. Take it off and add an ER. One of the deep, dark hollers that one of our local heroes, Mr. General Chuck Yeager, spoke of growing up in. He said from so far up the holler they had to pump the sunshine in. Possible that range might be up there, but look, don't go looking for it. Now that brings us to this. What's my point of this? Well, to the sister who doesn't want to be talked about on YouTube, isn't it obvious that these two stories that you thought were not related are related, like us? Cool. And it's even more proof that we are the direct descendants of pirates. That's our ancient family curse. I mean, what was Pirates of the Caribbean Part 1 even called? Hello? Curse of the Black Pearl? Well, we bear the curse that attaches itself to mechanical items. A convertible, a range. Now I've got this toaster. Why this specific toaster? Specifically, because it works for my wife, but it doesn't work for me. She can put anything in here, and she does, like sandwiches and stuff. Bless her heart. I'm still trying to get her to understand if you're going to make like a sandwich with toasted bread, you got to toast the bread first, and then you bring it out and make the sandwich. Boy, this all started back in the Philippines 10, 12 years ago, 11 years, something 12. I was eating a ham and cheese sandwich with mayonnaise. And my beautiful bride, Dearly, a.k.a. Giggly Girl, she was with me. And her beautiful little sister, Mary Jane, was with me. And by the way, isn't her whole family gorgeous? Have you been watching her videos on Life with Dearly? Her and our little boy will be back in about 5 days. And I can't wait. It's been a long 7 weeks. I mean, I'm walking around in the woods with a toaster. But there's a reason for it, and it'll all make sense why I went Bigfoot Sasquatch hunting with the toaster. When you look at the title, brah. God, everybody knows whatever the title is on a video on YouTube. It's exactly what the video's about. Anyway, they wanted to try my ham and cheese sandwich. I let them. They loved it. They said, this is good. I said, they're even better when they're toasted. Well, about 10 minutes later, I hear them messing around in the kitchen, and I look over, and they're shoving like butter knives down into the toaster, and it was plugged in, and I was like, stop. And I ran over and unplugged it. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Well, they had made a ham and cheese sandwich with mayonnaise, and they shoved it down in the toaster to toast it. And I'm not making fun of my wife at all. This is a true story. I'm just telling you, this is what her and her little sister did. And it wasn't this toaster, but anyway, I've got to keep my eyes on her in the toaster. But anything she puts in here comes out great. If I put a piece of toast in here, it comes out as black as the toaster itself, even if I turn it all the way down to 0. So I've just stopped using it. But I'll find her using it in the mornings, and she'll make me toast, and I'll be like, oh, did you get a new toaster? This toast is perfectly toasted. It's so toasty. She's like, no, I use our same toaster we have. This one. So it's cursed. And it's an ancient family curse we possess that attaches itself to mechanical items. I don't know what this toaster holds in store for me, but I'm bringing it with me squatching from now on, because there may or may not only be a potential Bigfoot Sasquatch out here in the woods behind my home. There may also be some malevolent spirits, some malevolent entities. Folks have said they've seen demons in these videos, some ghosts, a lot of Civil War ghosts. We've got so many unmarked burial grounds all over our property. Just found out about another one recently. Potentially, we have the ghost of old Jessup around here, who in life dispatched old Jim Brown. By the way, shout out to our viewer, Jim Brown. We actually have a viewer named Jim Brown. Very supportive. He just recently said that he loved the new novel that I just put out last week, The Lunatic. Been hearing a lot of great things about this novel, The Lunatic. Somebody contacted me and said, I know this book, The Lunatic, will always be remembered as the book that made it possible for man to visit Mars. But I want you to know that after reading it, I will always remember it as the book that allowed me to stand firmly on earth as I am. Thank you for the courage it took to write this book. It changed my life. Look at that. If that book only changes the life of one reader, it was worth writing. If you haven't read it, don't make me smote thee. You got to go read it. It's available on Amazon in print and Kindle. The link is in the description box below. I mean, gosh, if you're going to go there, while you're there, buy my other 22 books as well. They're all good. So anyway, here's the plan with this toaster. When I'm out here looking for him, her, it, or they, should something malevolent come up on me, should it come at me, brah, I will smote it with the curse, with the ancient pirate curse my family carries, the curse that attaches itself to mechanical items. I will smote thee about the head and about the shoulders. I can't control this thing. So come at me, brah. See you for more next time. Here at the PBS. The potential Bigfoot Sasquatch. show.